Welcome to our webinar. It's a really exciting moment for us as it's a final of a big work, big project that we offered ourselves for the last 12 months. And we are so happy to see so many known and unknown faces and people to joining us tonight. Thank you very much for being here with us. Before we start, I want to share with you a few tips about today's meeting, as we want to offer this experience to more people, and there are also many people who are unable to join for different reasons. This webinar will be recorded, so maybe you already seen the message. This webinar will be recorded, and after it, we will offer the recording online for the one who didn't join. So if you prefer your face not to be visible during in the recording, you can keep your camera off, so it's only your name present. We will invite you to keep your microphones muted until the last part of the webinar, when we will have about, we hope that we'll have about half an hour for questions and answers, discussion about what we are going to present. You may also drop your questions in the chat during the presentations and what we are offering. So we'll be able also to read them in advance and see what may be addressing at the end of this meeting. We'll invite you also to leave the chat for questions, not for side conversations. So we may focus into the presence of what we are doing here. I think this is all for the meeting. I will invite my colleague Tony now to open the meeting.
Yes, let's open. Wow, it's really exciting for me to see 64 people now and more people coming in. Those who know us know that we like to open with a poem. So here is Escape by D.H. Lawrence. Escape. When we get out of the glass bottles of our own ego, and when we escape like squirrels from turning the cages of our personality, and get into the forest again, we shall shiver with cold and fright, but things will happen to us so that we don't know ourselves. Cool, unlying life will rush in, and passion will make our bodies taut with power. We shall stamp our feet with a new power, and old things will fall down. We shall laugh, and institutions will curl up like burnt paper. Welcome to this webinar called The Way of Nature. It's the ending of a one-year Erasmus Plus funded project we've been creating. And I also get to introduce myself very shortly. For those who don't know me, my name is Tony. I use they them pronouns. I work for an NGO called Relearn Suderbyn in Sweden. And I'm a human development guide and a facilitator. And I work mostly with human nature connections and community building. And passing on to Ognian.
Thank you, Tony. My name is Ognian from Bulgaria. I'm managing an organization called Learning for Change Foundation, which main goal and aim is to promote nature-based learning and eco-soulcentric development. I've been working in the field of youth work and non-formal education since 2013. And the last years, we are more and more getting deep into rewilding and nature-based practices that are coming from different sources and different ways, because we found how helpful and valuable they are for the social change and cultural change me and my colleagues are aiming at. So thank you very much for being with us tonight. What we prepared for you through this webinar, uh, we are going to spend our time in three different dimensions. First one, we will offer you a short input about the model that we work with during this 1 year project. A model created in 80s by an American psychologist, Bill Plotkin, and his team, and the model that is worked and developed until now. So our aim through this project was to adapt the practices and this model of human psyche to be able to support young people's development and addressing developmental needs and deficits that they are facing. The second part, it will be the moment that I will share with you briefly about the project, its aims, and I will share with you the outcomes. Because through this project, we succeeded to develop two educational outputs, one manual and one collection of session outlines that will be offered for free download and using from youth workers, social workers, and all the human development guys that may incorporate them in their work. And also during the first part, we'll have chance to hear 2, 3 voices of people who were involved in our project as a participants, and now they have chance also to practice what we developed and adapted with different target groups. At the end of this meeting, we will have time for 25, 30 minutes for questions and answers, discussion, sharing some opinions from the audience about what we are bringing out here. So this is the schedule for today. We are aiming at 90 minutes webinar. So thank you very much again for being with us. And Tony, please.
Yes. Right. Okay. Can you see my screen now? And still me? Perfect. Okay. So what have we been up to, the way of nature? We have been creating a manual based on a model, as Fabian said. And this is based on the map of wholeness, created by Bill Plotkin, and I will tell you a little bit about what that is and why we're using it. So what is the need to start with? The need that we are perceiving, and that I'm sure many of you are perceiving as well, is that is to support young people in the development of their resources that they have, but due to the world we're living in and the society that many of us are living in, many, and not only young people, actually also more than young people, are not able to develop their full potential. So we want to support young people in that too, in order that they can lead successful, healthy, and happy lives, and also that they can take life-enhancing actions. So that might be maybe a difference to coaching, where it's mostly about like maybe, depending on the person, of course, about like one person achieving their best goals, whereas we really want to support people in achieving their goals and to serve with their goals. And this leads me to the second point, which is to connect or reconnect young people to the web of life. And they're mainly the more than human world, the other than humans, the trees and the rivers and the birds and the mycelium. And we have a word for this, which is eco-awakening, which is the rediscovery of this innate feeling of I belong. I belong not only to my family or to my friends, I belong to Earth. I belong to this incredible multi-layered being that's floating in the cosmos. So this rediscovering, resourcing of this innate sense of belonging, eco-awakening. So what are the innate human resources? They are, I will first talk about two. So the first one is the ability to know. And there's 4 ways of knowing, which is heart-centered thinking, sensing, so smelling, tasting, feeling, touching, seeing, the feeling of emotions, the way of knowing which informs us about our needs, if they are met or not met, and the imagination, the ability to create and dream. And then we also have ability to love. And there's again 4 ways of loving we talk about. The nurturing love as a loving parent would, compassion, eros, which is not just sexuality, but also this life-bringing power that's innate to all living beings, and the romantic love. So what Bill Plotkin did is creating this map of wholeness. So he took this resources that I just touched upon and mapped them out and represented them through natural and cultural archetypes. And just to also explain what wholeness is, what we mean when we speak of wholeness is the full expression and integration of all aspects, all resources, all capacities of the human psyche. Also the ability to act from these ways of love instead of woundedness. And with the map of the human psyche, which is the full name, there's also a map of woundedness, which we are not talking about now. But I just want to mention it for completion. The reason that we're not talking about is that working with that is most of the time therapeutic work. So this is nothing that one as a youth worker would do, most likely. And the other reason is that the best medicine for the woundedness is the wholeness. So we really want to invite all of us, and especially those who are working with us, on focusing on creating resources, focusing on what are the capacities, where can I grow, instead of focusing on what is not working. Yeah. So what is the map of wholeness in more details? So in the north, there's the archetype of the nurturing generative adult. And natural symbols for this could be winter and darkness and the cold midnight. And it's in the north because these are the moments where we mostly need this one, this nurturing one. I added this image of the gardener. And other archetypes could be a teacher or a good king, a good queen, or a loving parent. Anybody who is able to care and lead and help others if they're human or other than human grow. The way of knowing, I had mentioned it earlier, is the heart-centered thinking. So it's the ability to make plans, to design, to create, to bring ideas into reality. And it's heart-centered thinking because it's not just strategic thinking, it's thinking coming from love and care. The way of loving is nurturing love, the love that a mother has for her baby. And some qualities could be knowledge and leadership, also traditions and skills. And skills that would be relevant for youth could, for example, be conflict resolution or independence, the ability to lead one's own life, to organize. And we can cultivate this, for example, with young people by co-creating an event. Let's say, let's have a dinner together and the team is going to cook and someone else is going to clean and someone else is going to decorate. Or we could start a community garden. So this could be ways where we can bring these archetypes into our specific youth work. So you'll see that always in the end of those slides, the last 2 points, skills for youth and how to cultivate, these are the ones that we have added from our work, from our experience in youth work to Bill Plotkin's map. Then we go into the south, and the south is the wild belonging one. The natural symbols could be summer, sun, midday, and the heat, fire as well. And the archetypes could be a wild animal, but the wild human animal of us, and the belonging one. And belonging here again means, first of all, belonging with myself, belonging in my body, belonging to where I am, then belonging in the human community. And thirdly, belonging in the more than human community, belonging with Earth. Way of knowing are the emotions, and the way of loving is Eros, both of them I've mentioned earlier. Some qualities of this house could be wilderness, authenticity, freedom, emotions, a movement, anything that is alive in our body, and this heat, this energy, spontaneity as well. And how do we use this, or how do we translate this to youth work? Well, some skills could be wilderness skills, the ability to go out in the forest and find my way, but also to make fire. And then emotional skills, being able to be with my feelings, express my feelings, actually feel everything. Some of us aren't able to feel anymore. So those would be important soft skills for young people. And how do we cultivate this? By dancing, by moving our body, by even doing acrobatics, anything that is bringing us into the belonging and the wilderness of our bodies. By being out in the wild, obviously, go out to nature, and by expressing emotions. And we're moving to the east. The east is a tricky one. You can see there's two pictures. There's the picture of the sage in the mountain cave, but there's also a picture of the fool's hut. And that's because the archetypes of the East are quite, at least seemingly, oppositional. So there's on the one side the innocent, like the young child that sees the world for the very first time and goes out and just says, "Why do birds fly? Why is the sky blue? Look, a butterfly," this innocence of the young one. But there's also the fool, who is just going out in the world without a plan, with his lightness, the trickster, who might lead you down paths that you hadn't expected, and the wise one that can sit still in meditation and just be with whatever. So natural symbols are the spring, the sunrise, beginning this new freshness of the world in the early of the year or the early of the day. The way of knowing are the senses. And now I actually want to slow down a moment and just, check what can I taste in this moment? What can you taste in this moment? What are some objects we can see? Anything we can hear? And what is my body touching right now? So this ability to presence myself in the moment, in the world, this is the way of knowing of the East, the senses. The way of loving is compassion. The ability to feel with another, to cry with another, or to laugh with another, to enter your world and see. There comes the trickstery side. See what things look like when I turn my perspective. Some qualities of the East are lightness and joy and humor, but also stillness and meditation and calm with wisdom. Why and how is this important for young people? for health, for balancing the depth and the difficulty of life. I think mindfulness has been a really big buzzword over the past decade already. A skill would be also self-awareness, but also spatial awareness, the awareness of the other, and the ability to be still and to be with. Also the ability to look at the big picture of things. You know, sometimes small, or not necessarily small, but things can become really important or feel really important and tear us down. And then if we are able to zoom out and look at it from a distance, often this can be very relieving. How do we cultivate those qualities, those skills, those capacities? One way could be meditation. It's also clowning. And then any sensual exercise, any exercise with the senses, like the very short one I just did a minute ago. And then moving to the last facet, the West. And the archetype of the West is the muse beloved. And natural symbols would be the fall, the sunset, and death and endings. So if you're like me on the northern hemisphere, the phase of life that the world is, at least around me right now. And some archetypes could be the artist, the muse, the magician, also dreamer. Yeah, and I selected here this piece from Van Gogh, The Kiss, which both is for me representing, well, the artist, the expression, the creativity, and it's a couple, so also the way of loving, the romantic love. And the way of knowing is the imagination. So accessing other layers of life than what we call a reality. We might call it consent reality, because we're kind of agreeing that this is real and other things are not real, but I'm not sure if we can really be so sure. So dreams come from imagination, or if we're accessing through deep imagination or just creativity imagination. Some qualities of the West are depth and introspective and creativity. And for young people, this is mostly important for artistic skills, the ability to self-express, or also just to, you know, dip into the muse, into the creative inspiration, and bring this out into the world. And the ability, and for me this also lays in the West, the ability to be in ceremony, the ability to have a more than rational connection with life. So ritual and ceremony, at least for me, also lays in the West. Someone else might see it different. So how could we cultivate this with young people? And there's many ways, but the one I wrote down here is creating art or music or poetry. So expressing what is not coming from the rational mind, but from the creative mind. And then this is my last slide. So an overview again. So the complete white circle is the self, all that we are, all the resources we have. So we have the nurturing generative adult in the north, in the east, the innocent wise one, in the south, the wild belonging one, and in the west, the muse beloved. And then in the middle of all this sits the ego, which is the driver, the decision maker, the one who is steering the boat. Then I would just want to end with one more phrase, or one more, maybe 3 phrases. Just to say that the examples that I've now given at the end of each side are examples for how to bring this to youth work. There's another practice, and maybe Ogne and you will talk more about this, which is the wonder, which is maybe, if we're going back to Bill Plotkin's teachings, one of the main tools, main practices to go out into the wild, to be with the other than humans, and to be there in conversation with intention, and being in conversation with others that represent these facets for us, or to go out and embody these capacities of ours so that they may grow. Yes. I stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. So what my colleague Tony just presented was the main templates, the framework, the model that we took from the work that we are experiencing and tried to translate it and offer it to people who may be able also to adapt it in their individual contexts. And for that, we want to invite for some sharing of a colleague of ours, Sarah Floman. They were involved in the projects in this project from the very beginning. First meeting each other in an experiential program offered by me and Tony, where Sarah was a participant in the autumn of 2024. And then they expressed interest to join the team and become a member. So Sarah has a big contribution into creation of our intellectual outputs, but also in testing all the work we are offering, both on themselves and with other people. So welcome, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. There are so many of you. Hi, I'm Sara. We use they, them pronouns. And I've had the absolute honor and delight to be apprenticing to Ognian and Tony, involved in this whole year-long program. And what I would like to talk to you about is how the map of wholeness has contributed to my own growth. It's been now, quite a year-long journey that started from this program a year ago, and then it just went into a whole big adventure, I could say. And it's been very, very nourishing to dive into this work together. So I feel very privileged to be working with this on the depths. So going back to the map, I feel the nature-based practices have been quite integrated into my daily life and work, and how it really has contributed is the sort of constant coming back to these archetypes. So I have practices of really being in touch with the directions and asking them for guidance and being in communication with them. So for example, in this project, I've had a lot of sort of inner work and guidance with my north. So I've been calling a lot on my inner north. The people that know me, there are a few here, know that I'm quite strong in my south facet, in my wild bodily feeling being. And so for this big project, it's been a lot of this kind of calling my inner north and my inner northern guides and capacities, which has been very beautiful, because also a part of this project for me has been to co-guide together with these two, Tony and Augie, and then also to create my own dissemination project to lead a wilderness immersion in the wild, which has been, I have been in the guide role. So a lot of cultivating north. This has been a very big part for me, and calling on the inner leader and guide and nurturing one to hold hold myself in my resources and come back to that one to then enable myself to also explore the other realms of the map. It's been very important to talk and be in communication with my sage and my fool when things have gotten a bit intense, and yeah, to see the bigger picture. And again, the whole process of then integrating what's happening through really feeling and moving what's alive, going to the south again. And then sort of, for me, it's quite a full circle. It tends to really go in different, they really, when I started to work with this more and daily, I noticed that it's kind of ping pong between my inner archetypes. And then the West has been very strong for me lately. And so there's a lot of poetry and really going into the depths of myself and discovering places in how I'm really able to serve. So for me, it's been like a very big question that I'm exploring. How can I serve the bigger Earth community? And I've really found that this work is very phenomenal for that, for myself and for the others around me. And I'm very grateful for for being introduced to it and really working with it. I feel like I have more to sort of give from myself to others, and also feel like feeling more capacity and wholeness in sort of who I am. So yeah, that's it for me. Yeah. Thank you. Giving back to my team.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your personal experience with involving with this work in this model. I want to remind you to if you have any, to drop your questions in the chat, so we can see them before we reach the part with the discussion and question and answers. There are so many things that I would like to tell you and share with you and present, because there are many things we are proud of from what we did. But the main thing, the motivation, the inspiration for us to create this project and to create these materials that might be used and to be offered to the audience of youth workers and social workers and teachers, was our involvement in this eco-soul-centric, nature-based human developments. Was for some years, for me already about 10 years, for Tony already about 5 years. We personally, we are exposing ourselves to these practices. We are exposing ourselves to other guides to help us grow and cultivate our wholeness. And also we are exploring the effect of this work to other people. We are offering what we are offered to others. And it turns that somehow it's my personal experience and our team experience proves what is the basic premise of eco-soul-centric work, that in the last several 100 years, the human society get more and more disconnected from nature, from our natural inherited, evolutionary inherited natural human developments. And this is what creates a lot of problems and challenges for us, for people who lives in this modern westernized culture, that we grow and live separated from our natural habitat and natural environment, both outer nature, which is the wilderness, but also inner nature, which is the imagination, dreams, senses, emotions. You can say from your personal experience to what extent these capacities are cultivated in our families, in society, how much imagination is supported, how often people have space, safe space to express emotions, how many people each of us know that are fully in capacity and connection with their emotional intelligence. So these are some elements that we can track in our everyday social context and social context we are in to see all these deficits and gaps. And what we strongly believe in that, in fact, coming back to nature and using nature-based practices to cultivate these capacities, these gaps, is something that we feel very important and that can make a change, a rapid change in our society and our culture. Because uh, it's like obsession. Once people got back to their natural contact with the wilderness, inside and outside, they become looking for it. And the sense of belonging in more than human world is growing fast. And people who reconnect this way, who went through this passage we called eco-awakening, are the ones who will never again make harm to natural world or other beings, not just human beings, but other beings. Because the perception, the place from where one perceive their belonging and their interconnectedness is very different. So this is where we started with how we can make this work, this way of addressing developmental deficits and natural developments more easily, and especially targeting children and young people, because this is the field we are working with. We are working in the field of youth work and social support. So our main goal through this project was to translate the model, the map of human psyche, that is mainly created to be used by psychologists and therapists and guides into the language and practices of youth work. Also, originally, the map is used in the beginning with adults and people in their all ages. And we are, let's say, one of the few pioneers in the field of using the map in earlier ages, as early as possible, to be able to reconnect children and young people. So through this project, we created, I will share my screen just to show you. So these are the two covers of the two intellectual outputs we created. One is the manual, The Way of Nature, the manual for facilitators, youth workers, social workers, psychologists, and every type of human development workers, in which we created a simplified description of the map of wholeness that Tony just presented. But also through this manual, we wanted to cover another dimension, which is the assessment and evaluation. How one who works with other people can find what are their needs in their natural development, what are the deficits they are suffering for, which are the facets of wholeness they need to cultivate more, which are the qualities and capacities that need to be supported in their development. So in the second part of the manual, in the third part of the manual, we offered different assessment tools, different ways of questionnaires and processes that may help a human development worker to observe and evaluate the people they work with, the one who they offer their service, so they be in the best possible service to them. to know which are the elements they can offer through them. And in the second part, we create the collection of practices. We describe collection of practices that can serve in different ways to cultivate these capacities of the map of wholeness. So in the manual, we get together 3 elements that may serve as a direct workbook for the one who want to implement it. The theory of the model of the human psyche, collection of practices, and way to assess the needs of our target group. The second publication we created is called Session Outlines and Sample Training Programs, which is an addition to the manual. In this edition, we described all of the practices offered in the manual in the form of session outlines, more as a session, as a workshop, with direct recommendations of what instructions can be done, what are the materials, how much time, what space is needed. So from there, you can directly take what you need, what you discovered is valuable and suitable for your target group, and directly offer it as a practice. And also we offered 3 different sample training programs, 3, 5, and 7-day group program that can be adapted. But what we wanted to show with that is kind of a backbone, a way how a long-term group program can be created based on the model that we are using. So something that people who are offering group work or outdoor programs can take and see the framework where they can put their own spice and their own flavor and passion and create something for them. So these are the two manuals, the two publications that we created through this project, and based on our personal previous experience and based on the needs expressed in the beginning by Tony. After this webinar, I will share in the Facebook events the link for a download of the manual, the first one, which is already finished with design and everything. I uploaded it today in our resource library in the website of Learning for Change, so it's already available for free download, sharing, and distribution. So feel free also to share it. And soon, probably in 1 or 2 weeks, the second one will be ready, and I will share also the link of it there. So more or less, this was the intellectual, the content part. What we also wanted to incorporate in our work through these 12 months is the test drive. We engaged in 22 human development workers from Sweden, Bulgaria, 1 from Finland, and 1 from Belgium, for an 8-day training course in Bulgaria in the beginning of August. And then for the next part, until now, all of them, they were supported, invited, and encouraged to offer to test what they learned in the practical inspirational training course, to test it with their target groups. And now we'll hear 2 of them to share about their experience with different target groups. Nadia and Anna from Sweden, they were part of the training program and the continuous learning process that we offered, and we are happy to welcome them to share their experience with us. Yeah. Nadia, would you like to be first? Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, I first want to say that it was such an amazing experience to be in this wild part of Bulgaria and to do all these wonders and meet all these people and work with these important questions. And I also would like to address what I think is really important is that I guess everyone who work with young people which have mental health problem, which many young people have today, we also need this time to just to meet and to talk about that, and also to recharge ourselves. We didn't talk about much about this, but I think it's a really big part of the program that we who work with these groups and to give so much from ourselves to these young people all day. We need this time to just be in nature and to recharge, or what to call it, reconnect, and to find purpose and meaning. Yes, and thank you. And then I came back to Sweden. I started to work, and I found it both really easy and also quite difficult to use this method and to work with this model, because I'm teaching two different groups. I'm in adult education as folkhögskola. And so one of the groups I'm working with, it's a course called Inner Transition. So the students choose to work with this kind of questions. And of course, this model was super helpful for me. I had a framework. I did a lot of wonders. I guess I would have done quite similar things even without this model, because I already believe in the power of nature and these different parts of the model. But it was super helpful for me to have this framework to plan my lessons out from. And then I also work with another group of people who failed in the normal school system. So they are at my school, even if they are adults, and they're trying to do the primary school or gymnasium once again. And those people, they are there, they have their focus, they also have even more difficult mental health problems. And there I feel I have to be a bit more tricky to find small times where we could just leave the school building, go outside, to find some ways to add these elements, to work with some poems, to work with our own body instead of just reading our body. We could try how does our lungs work instead of just reading about it. I'm still trying to find my ways. But I had some things out from the project already, and I'm also looking forward for what's gonna come. I guess that's my 5 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you very much. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so this was a very nice time for me too in Bulgaria. I got a lot of new tools, and as Nadia said, I think it was really good to go there as was both for me personally and for me as a youth worker. I got heaps of new insights. It was beautiful. And when I came back, I had the chance. I'm also working at folkhögskola as a teacher for people between 18 and 32, maybe. And this is a group of 8, and they all have different disabilities, mental disabilities. So I'm already outside with them 1 day a week, and we are doing practices to get a closer connection to nature, which I think is the most important thing, like you talked about, Agni. But this is a very good complement. So what I've been focused on is more the inner nature, and so they've been. I've done a setting where I'm doing almost the same thing every week. Some Mondays where I'm starting the day with dance, and we are doing a circle. We're talking with a talking stick, and I'm doing guided meditation with them every time. And we're also doing this improv theater exercises. So that's and I think it's to start with, they were everything basically was new for them, and it took a while for them to land in, but now a couple of times in, I think they all really likes it, and it's such a good thing to start the week with. Everybody's really calm, and they open up in a way they haven't been opening up before, and everybody's using their bodies in ways that I haven't seen them using their bodies before, and I think we've been going. I talk a lot about heart-centered thinking and how to let go of the mind and be in the body and be in the heart instead, and it's and taking a time for that, a specific time, it's beautiful, because it influences the whole day, of course, and the whole life. But to do that as a practice that comes over time, it's great. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Nadia, and Anna. I just saw what Theo wrote in the chat. What Nadia and Anna thinks about longer implementation of the program, a year-long program with youth in different settings, and this is, I think, what you just started doing, because both of you are teachers and work long-term with your students, and this is something that we will continue observing and asking you, how is it going? Is the progress? Yeah.
Okay, can I just say, so that's my plan. So I've been doing this as a project now to try it, but my plan is to keep on doing this as a 1 day a week, and because I think it's great, and I think it's the more I do it, the better result I get, I think.
Thank you, Nadia. Yes, please.
Yeah, I also think it could be a super wonderful, super important thing. I think what I find is tricky with one of my groups is, their ideas about what a school is. What they go there to learn the Swedish, the math, and so on, and those ideas are so strong. So, and of course, it's voluntarily. I could not press my point of views on someone. It's folkbildning, so I could ask questions, they could answer, I could try to open up for a different kind of perspectives, but people are different, so first, yeah, I really believe in it, but everyone does not believe what I believe, and we could offer a lot of important things, and then we'll see who will actually eat our offers in a way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Nadia. thank you all of you who are here and already trying and implementing this, because there are many people now in the audience who have participated in our experiential trainings, because what we are also offering with Tony are Erasmus Plus funded experiential programs, usually 2 or 3 per year, that in fact creates space and experience based on this model for the people who are participating. Thank you very much for being patient until this moment. So now we have about 25 minutes for discussion, questions and answers, sharing opinions about this work. So I would invite my colleague Tony to manage this part. I haven't been hosting an online event, especially through Zoom, for a long time. So please,
Yes.
Tony.
Let's see how I do. So yeah, we are quite many. So I invite you, if you have a question or you want to say something, yeah, raise your hand, or you can drop it in the chat and I will have an eye on that as well. And there has been one question already, so I'm just gonna start with that, giving everybody else time to find questions or thoughts. Diogo has been asking, on more challenging days in this type of work, where do you find inspiration or energy? In a world that seems to be more distant from this idea than you, us, how do you self-source to keep moving? And basically looking for sources for inspiration / energy that can support the one that comes from within. Ognan, do you want to start? And then I see if I want to add something.
About finding inspiration and energy, I'm not sure if I'm a good person to answer this question, because I feel so full of inspiration and energy all the time, so I'm not losing it at all, especially while doing this work. I'm using a lot my imagination. I imagine what I'm doing now, no matter how hard it is, how painful it is, how challenging it is, what it creates in the future. And this is what drives me. This is what drives me. I'm very result oriented, also kind of person. So if I know that the result is there, I may torture myself to give as much as possible out of me. So, but of course, the obvious answer is being out in nature, being alone in nature. For the last few months, I live very close to nature. I finally moved to my village house, which is the end of the village, just at the border of the forest and the river. So being here, just by being here, it creates different way for me here in the world. Tony?
Yeah, thank you, Augie. Yeah, I would also add that from my side, on especially when I'm really in this work and I get to do it all day long, I also have endless energy for that time frame, and then I need a break. But you're asking about more challenging days, and I think for me the more challenging days are the ones where I actually don't get to do this work, where I have to do different kind of work. And right now I'm in a city and there's not that much wild nature around. And for me, on those days, or also just days, where emotionally I'm feeling heavier than other days, for me, it's being just really, really, really soft with myself. Again, calling upon the 4 facets, but mostly similar to what Sarah said earlier, calling upon my north and, laying in my bed, making my bed into a nest and being soft with myself for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes. And again, I would also say this is also north capacity to then realize, okay, I do have less capacity today. So what are the 3 things that I want to accomplish today? And probably one of these, at least one of these 3 things is cooking myself a good meal or going for a walk, or, you know, not a rational to-do list task that's like answering emails, but that's actually self-care centered. Yeah. So I think for me, yeah, inviting my north and inviting softness, and you know, when I'm not able to go on a 3-hour wander, doing little 5-minute practices that are connecting me with which is fascists and the wholeness, and coming back to myself. That would be my answer. And then there have been, just reading this out for everybody, there have been 2 answers also in the chat. Helen also said going to nature. And Julian is saying, yes, there are recommended practices for each direction archetype in this model. So yes, if you want more inspiration for practices, you can either read Bill Plotkin's books, or you can read our manual and the session outlines, which are half of that you're getting today and the other half you're getting in 1 or 2 weeks. More questions. I apologize for any mispronounced names, by the way. Julian Churko, I hope this is correct enough, wrote in the chat, I attended a training about eco-centric development in Romania. It was more about my own self-development. And now I would love to work more on my youth work skills in these areas, and would also like to direct my friends into this. Yes, please do. Do you know about any opportunities for people from Poland in this area? Ognian, trainings for youth work.
This is great question. This is great question. I will take it the way I understand it. So I assume this is the question from youth worker, how to be trained more to use these nature-based practices in their youth work. So in fact, this is one of the goals of the work that we did through these projects, at least to provide something on paper as a recommendation that might be implemented in the youth work. But also what I personally believe in, and this is my approach since my involvement in non-formal education, that what I'm offering to the people, I need to experience it first. So this is also the way we are offering this work. We are offering experiential programs targeting more the individual personal development of the participants who we select to be human development workers. So the one who have participated in our programs, they already experienced many of these practices, the way how it worked them personally. And then I strongly believe having the publications, the manuals that we created, you may easily implement this because you've already been there as an individual, going through this process of individual transformation, knowing the results, feeling the results, and also having these recommendations and manuals how to use it. But this is the current situation. What I hope and I'm discussing with already with some colleagues is how to make more possibilities for this, how to offer more training like programs for people who already experienced once the work in the experiential way, to make another program the second level. So this is something that you may follow our organization, Learning for Change, Relearn, Suderbyn, NC Future Now from Bulgaria, and hopefully in the next years, for sure in the next program period of Erasmus, we will create such an opportunities for people, because this is one of our goals, to spread the work, and to offer people proper training of how safely to use these methods and practices with other people from different backgrounds and different values. Thank you for asking this question, Julian.
Thank you, Augie. Another question from Theodore. What about ecocentric work in Europe? Is there a network or something else planned to be created in the future? And how can people continue to network in this field?
For this moment, what is happening is the things are moving. Things are moving more than last years. One thing that is coming directly from Animas Valley Institute, the Bill Plotkin's organization, is their willingness to create a support structure that the final dream is to have local hubs on each continent that can offer the programs that they are offering. But also something that is moving is that more and more people from our fields, from the youth work, social work, and therapeutic fields, are starting to communicate through each other. There is nothing for now. There is nothing formal. There is no platform. Something we are discussing now among the group of producers, eco-soulcentric program producers in Europe, is creating an online platform, a web page, where all the offerings will be visible for people who are interested. Also, there will be, of course, a resource page with information, downloads, all these things. But this is still work in progress. I hope next year in 2026 there will be movements there, because there will be many programs, Animas funded and non-Animas funded, Erasmus funded and non-Erasmus funded in Europe. So 2 days ago, I published a call for the 2 Animas programs that will be hosted in Bulgaria and Gudevice in 2026. So you can also check the Learning for Change website for more details about that. But yes, something we dream about and we hope for, and I dream to have a bit more space and resource to work on these directions, creating a more structured and more formal network of people who offer this work in Europe.
Yeah, I want to add there is the possibility for online network, not through us. I mean, through us, just through diverse WhatsApp group mostly, or Telegram groups of the different courses. But there is kind of a blog, an internal network from Animas Valley directly, that you can also enter if you haven't participated in a program before. And there's then a chapter which is called Soulcraft Europe, where people are connecting. I haven't been able to find the link just yet. I will continue searching, but if I find it, I put it in the chat, and then you also can connect with other people who are doing this kind of work through that. I'm gonna have a look in the chat. You can also raise your hands if you want to. Okay. Funny wrote, first I want to say a deep thank you for this online session. From the beginning, I moved to tears. And during Tony's presentation, I just had a vision I want to bring to life now. Great. I got to know the method thanks to Saka Martinkova, with whom I have been the honor to co-create since then. And as one of my dearest friends is here sharing the same online presence, I want to bring this question to be witnessed by this lovely community. So, dear Anna, would you be willing to co-create a beautiful project with me on soul-centric development for young people? Ooh, project creation. Thank you, Fanny. Would you like to show yourself? You don't have to if you don't want to. I would love to hear what your project is about. No? All right. Then you shall just be witnessed this way. And then a question from Peace. So if I understand right what Oggy said about the training, there's no special training necessary in order to obtain the rights to bring elements of this work into our programs. I've heard that if people are not certified alumni of Animas Valley, they are not allowed to do it. Yes, the question of what paper do I need in order to do this work? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Peace. Thank you, Andri. Very good question. People are sometimes confused when they reach to this. One thing that's for sure Bill and his team are trying to do is to motivate, to inspire, and to support people to incorporate elements of this work in their human development work. So this is what they originally do through the Wild Mind training program, the training program that they offer. This is how the paper looks like. There is a paper, yes, online, but it's not absolutely necessary. In fact, just being a human development worker with a certain level of maturity and awareness and trust in yourself, you can incorporate things in what you are doing with people. There is some elements in your question that are truth, and that's the one thing that Animas insists is when people are doing wild mind based programs, is not to use the words and terms that they are using in their work. So even I, as a certified through Wild Mind training program, I have no right to call the programs I'm offering Wild Minds. But I'm strongly encouraged to use all the knowledge and all the practices and everything in what I'm doing, just by calling it, for example, finding the lost paths or remembering our natural something. So this is what is the truth. Everyone with the necessary outdoor skills, wilderness skills, facilitation skills, training skills, non-formal education skills are able to incorporate what they are offering. One thing that is also important, that's why we said in the beginning, what we are not talking about and what we are not incorporating in the materials we're creating is the therapeutic part of the work, working with the human woundedness and psychological traumas, which are part of it. And there, when people are trained with Animas Valley Institute, this is a special part of the training that you receive. But cultivating wholeness and offering the ability to grow and develop is something that every qualified human development guide can do. And also you will see in the two publications, many of the practices that we are offering are not specific, trademark or something. Most of the practices are common sense for people who work in education fields, like creating art or baking bread or something. But the intention you put while choosing the practice is what makes the results specific.
Thank you, Augie. I want to add a bit of my own experience. because I believe I've done this work because before I knew Bill Plotkin or any of these books, before I read Wild Mind for sure. So I was drawing up all these plans. I called it the School of Human Being. And then I met my colleague Ognian and learned, oh, there's a model for this. It exists already. But I believe many of us are doing it, and it's really just the addition of the framework depending on your background. And then a question that for me is always very important when I'm being asked this question, oh, can I use this now on my people, is always be aware of what you can and what you can't. Be aware of the state of your own wholeness and what you are able to teach. So if you're a person who's has a big capacity to hold and has big emotional capacity and awareness, certainly you also, for those who know the work that reconnects from Joanna Macy, to just drop that also in, holding a grief circle is a wonderful thing, and I don't believe you need a paper on the wall that says Wild Mind in order to be doing this. However, if you know that your own South facet, your own emotional awareness, the ability to be with emotions, your own and others, is something you still need to work on, please don't do that. Because we need to be responsible with the people we work with, to keep everybody safe. Yes. Thank you. Nadia, do you want me to read, or do you want to ask it live yourself?
But say, I would like to clarify that in one of my groups, your work are really, I have a lot of use of it. We do a lot of wonders, and the students are already expressing that they notice change in their lives and in themselves. But I could also send a question back to you that how would you do to introduce this kind of work for people who are not yet interested in finding wholeness or reconnecting with nature or trying anything new in general? Where to start? Do you have any ideas?
I can start. First, I want to say I have stopped trying to make people do something that I want to do from themselves. I don't force my gifts on someone who doesn't want or need it, probably, if they don't want it in that moment. And then I think my next thing would be to see what is the closest to their comfort zone. What element of my work or my belief system or my practices is close enough to what this person is used to not get too far out of what is known and what feels right. So, for example, as you said, you don't need to go for a 3-hour wander talking to a tree might be too much, but going out because you're talking about how lungs work in biology and feeling air and actually feeling how breathing is working is, for me, is this kind of transition step. So I try always to meet people where they are and then take them, a little step further, and then many little steps, build a bridge. Okay, do you want to add something?
Yes, the special ability that when we cultivate its goods, it works perfect. The ability of the trickster, the power of the East archetype of the trickster to trick people where they're in fact they don't want to be, but finally when being there, they found the biggest treasure. And very often I'm using it with my kids because sometimes, and I've been such a kid, when parents say, let's go for a walk in the nature. Oh no, man, I don't want this. I don't want to go out of home. I want to stay here and play. But every time when I'm there, I come back happy. And this is what is happening with my son now. It takes me a lot of time, sometimes even pushing him to go out and trick him with some bribes or things to go out. And every time when I ask, how was it for you? You remember that you didn't want? Yes, I didn't want, but now it's wow. sometimes tricking people in something that they don't want might be a good decision. Not forcing, but tricking it. Sarah, you want to add something?
Yes, I also wanted to elaborate on my inner trickster who's already thinking about how can we apply for funding to invite all the CEOs of the great institutions that are destroying the world to come into a human development program and do eco-centric work without realizing that's what they're doing, and suddenly we're changing the world from the inside.
Hooray. Yeah, anybody good at applying for funding, please contact me. All right.
So
It is, yes, 7:26, which means we're about to close. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Agnian, poem first or saying goodbye first?
Saying goodbye first,
Saying
then
goodbye
closing
first.
our eyes and receiving the final goodbye poem.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for being with us. Thank you for the questions, for the interest. Thank you for showing up for what might be interesting and something that may shape or change your way of working or way of living in the future. Be aware, participating in this webinar may irreversibly change your life. Thank you for being with us, and may the mystery be with you.
Yeah. Thank you from my side as well. It was an honor to be here with you. I wish you a really, really good evening. And yeah, let's have a poetry, the very last words of the evening. So as my colleague said, we're inviting you to just close your eyes and let it have you.
This one is called Sometimes When the Light by Liselle Mueller. Sometimes when the light strikes at odd angles and pulls you back into childhood, and you are passing a crumbling mansion completely hidden behind old willows, or an empty convent guarded by hemlocks and giant firs standing hip to hip, you know again that behind that wall, under the uncut hair of the willows, something secret is going on, so marvelous and dangerous that if you crawled through and saw, you will die or be happy forever. Thank you very much. Have a good evening and beautiful dreams tonight. Thank you. Bye.